Well, this is Up. I'm David Gura. Flagging some new reporting from my colleagues here at NBC News. We have learned that two White House security specialists rejected Jared Kushner's application for a top-secret security clearance. There were questions reportedly about his family's business, his foreign contacts, his foreign travel, and meetings Jared Kushner had during the campaign. But their decision was overruled. House Democrats have launched a high-profile investigation into the administration's security clearance process. Behind me are some of the men and women likely to be of interest to them. In addition to Jared Kushner, you got Michael Flynn, Rob Porter, Sebastian Gorka, Michael Flynn Jr., and KT McFarland. Joining us now is one of my colleagues who broke that story, Ken Delaney. And Ken, let's dig a bit into the substance of why they rejected this, why they recommended this be rejected to begin with.
Sure, David. Just to emphasize, though, what the import and the meaning of this story, two career security specialists at the White House decided that the president's son-in-law did not merit access to the nation's secrets. But their boss, who had been hired by the Trump administration, overruled them, and he got it anyway. And the questions about Kushner, are sort of well known, have been reported. His businesses, his real estate empire has many foreign entanglements. He met with a Russian during the campaign to talk with a sanctioned bank. He had a troubled building on Fifth Avenue in New York, and he was in talks with foreign sovereign wealth funds about investments. And when he went to fill out his form for the security clearance, initially he failed to list any foreign contacts. These are all things that experts tell me would rule out a normal person for a clearance. And what happened is, the FBI does a background check. They don't reach a conclusion, but they present their findings to these career people at the White House, who've been doing this, by the way, for many years, David. And two career people looked at this application and said, no, he doesn't deserve a top secret clearance. Their boss, though, who had been brought in by the Trump administration, he's a civil servant but hired by a Trump political, overruled them. And this was one of 30 times, David, that this happened in the year period, we are told, and that is unprecedented.
John, I want to get your reaction to this. Just the story in of itself, what Ken's highlighting there, how unprecedented this is, how extraordinary it is that career officials would have this overturned.
You can't quite believe that if you've got career professionals whose job it is to keep the nation's secrets safe, and they have determined that the person who is being seeking clearance is not safe, that they end up with that clearance. I mean, there are many differences between the UK and the US, but where we have a very strong professional civil service in the UK, there is just no way that you would have somebody's name being put forward for a security clearance, or the highest level security clearance, and then if the kind of spy masters or whoever, the intelligence experts, say it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. There is no kind of, well, because we've got this place person that the Prime Minister has put in there, they will overrule it. Just couldn't happen. And that's just one of the kind of really, I find really puzzling, that if you have got the nation's secrets that are meant to be above the party political dogfight, how is it possible that that happens?
Francesca, how surprised were you by this reporting? You hear this defense from this administration that they brought in a bunch of people with untraditional backgrounds. That's a phrase that they like to use. I think Ken, Peter Alexander, our colleagues, used that in the piece as well. That's a defense that we've heard time and time again.
And very wealthy, and that matters here because that's why, in some cases, they have all these entanglements. And you have to recall that originally this came up because we found out during the entire Rob Porter scandal that there were individuals like Jared Kushner who had been working the entire time of the Trump administration without these clearances because they were still being vetted and these background checks were being re-background checked and whatnot. And so this is sort of some of the fallout when people started taking a look and saying, oh my gosh, how is Jared Kushner having access to the nation's secrets, sitting in on the president's daily intelligence briefing, and he doesn't have, I mean, he has the temporary clearance, but he hasn't fully received the clearance. And part of the reason is because of the wealth.
Ken Delaney,
but also because they didn't tell the truth
that as well,
on,
of course.
on applications. I don't want to make sure I get that in there.
As well. Ken, where are we now and where are we headed? I'm just curious sort of what type of clearance we know or don't know that Jared Kushner has at this point. And I mentioned that the House investigations, to what degree is this going to be looked into?
Excellent question, David. There is another beat to this reporting, which is after those White House career people were overruled for the top secret clearance, Jared Kushner, being a senior government official in the White House, was seeking an even higher, what some call a higher level of clearance for sensitive compartmented information. The CIA makes the decision about that. They sent Kushner's application over to the CIA. The CIA adjudicator said, wait a second. They called back to the White House and said, how did you even give Kushner a top secret clearance? And our reporting is that as of now, Jared Kushner does not have that SCI designation. And what that means, David, is that in many cases he doesn't have access to NSA intercepts, to CIA source reporting. It's hard to imagine how anybody can do a job in charge of Middle East peace or liaison with Mexico without access to that intelligence. And to answer your question about where this is going, immediately after our story hit, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Elijah Cummings, issued a statement and said he would absolutely investigate this. It's our understanding he intends to subpoena, if he needs to, all the players in this story, including Carl Klein, the White House official, no longer there, by the way, who made these decisions to overrule. Because the big question here, David, is was this man acting on his own, or was he acting under instruction from political appointees at the White House who were concerned that people were not getting clearance?
And your point about him not having access to those NSA intercepts, it is something I should point out that the president could authorize if he wanted to. He could allow Jared Kushner
Absolutely true. That's
to see
right.
those.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.